Lebanon, Samir Bannout. Come on up here, champ. From Lebanon, Mr. Olympia, Samir Bannout.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy. Yes. Samir Bannout has a very interesting story about how he became a professional bodybuilder. I remember he told me when I was a kid, 1983 is when I started bodybuilding. You and your brother, I think, were walking and you saw a book right. You're supposed to be going to a movie or the magazine. Where's your microphone? Here it is. It was either a movie or the magazine.
Yeah, I was actually going to watch the movie, The Good, The Bad, The Ugly, Clint Eastwood, the whole movie. And really, believe it or not, I saw these pictures of Arnold, which is, I posted on my story yesterday, on my Instagram story. That first magazine I picked up was Arnold thing with a girl.
How old were you?
I was only like almost 16 and a half, early 16.
I say that to say this, that the power of photographs back in the day were game changers. I mean, we didn't have the digital thing. A photograph would move someone to spend. How much was that magazine? How much did it cost you?
No, expensive. Probably about
$3 for the magazine, and it changed his life. He left Lebanon and came over to America. You didn't win the Mr. Olympia on your first shot. How many times did it take you to actually win that title? You were in the Olympia?
I competed in 1980, actually with Arnold, and to me that was a victory right there.
In Australia.
Was the champion that impressed me, you know. As you know, Arnold is, of course, one of the greatest to ever did this. So, yeah, I picked up that magazine, and so, for me, to be with Arnold on the same table. Absolutely. Even though Arnold wasn't at his best at that show, but prior to that show,
Anyway, you competed in the 1981 Olympic.
1980, 81, I breaking the top 10. 81, right?
Right, that was with Arnold.
So in 82,
I was just with Arnold.
the 81 Olympia that actually won by Franco Colombo, rest in peace. And, you know,
Arnold competed, right?
no,
Not in 81.
Arnold competed in Australia, 1980 in Sydney. So, yeah, you know, Arnold, I'm a big fan of Arnold, to be honest, nothing to deny. And I really stole a lot of Arnold and Frank Zane poses. You know, I'm very passionate about the game. So, you know, we all have to start somewhere.
So you were 10th place in
And
81.
thanks to Clint Eastwood movie, and that's the reason why I ended up getting this magazine.
Where did you place in 1982 when Chris Dickerson won?
1982, I came in 4th place.
I was in London.
In London, yes. I felt I could have done a little bit better. Some felt I could have probably won. But actually, I'm very happy that Chris Dickerson won, because Chris Dickerson, one of my favorite people, rest in peace. He's a great champion, and, you know, good memories with, you know.
The pinnacle of your career was 1983 when you actually won it. At that time, what number were you? Because you had Larry Scott, Sergio Oliva, Arnold Schwarzenegger. You were the 7th champion. So to put it in context, we've only had 16 winners. And in 1983, he became only the 7th champion. It's a very prestigious award that anybody that's ever competed before, that's what we have visions of one day winning.
1983, I was photographed by my friend John Balik, right there. And John told me, when he saw me at night, before the show, he said, "Samir, if you do anything wrong, I'll kill you." So John, he liked my condition. And of course, he got from Joey and said, "John, hurry up, take some pictures of Samir, he's a great champ." So anyhow, it's a great story.
Let me ask John. John, what was it like when you were photographing him in 83? Because that's really when he arrived.
Right. Actually, I first photographed Samir in 1976 at the Universe Contest in Montreal. How much did you weigh there? 148?
I definitely was a pencil neck, but many people felt, well, this kid, look out, this kid is coming. And thank you, John, for recognizing that.
No, I'll tell you the impression he made on me. Because everything you saw 8 years later, you saw in miniature in 1976. All the long muscle belly, all the fullness. He was the only amateur competitor that I took a full roll of film of, was Samir. And then I'll tell you the story of the 1983. Samir was always on edge at contest time.
Still
and we had 10 hours of jet lag on us also, from LA to Munich.
And listen, John, before you did that in 76, 1974 was my first international contest. Artie Zeller was there.
Yes, Artie.
And it's so funny, when I came to Santa Monica, somehow I went to the Santa Monica post office and Art Zeller was there. I know who he was. And I asked him, I said, oh, Artie, I'm going to this place on Wilshire. He said, no, it's Wilshire. Wilshire Boulevard. Anyhow, to make the story short, he said, Samir, I've taken some good photo of you. And if you like to come over with your girlfriend, and I'll show you this flag. And I was like, oh my God, this is where I belong. And so, you know, Art Zeller did a good job first, and then, you know, John Balik. And so I was very lucky and fortunate to be photographed by the greatest. No bullshit, John Balik is definitely one of the greatest to ever do this, really.
Number one, thank you, and bringing up Art Zeller tonight. He was, I learned a lot from Art Zeller, from photography, and he was just a wonderful, wonderful guy, and very, very generous with his time. But let me fast forward to that 1983 Mr. Olympia, and we're all eating dinner, and they had a huge buffet for us in the hotel. And Samir walks by me with a tray with 4 or 5 plates full of food. And I started to take the plates away from him and put them back on the table because I said, don't do this. Don't sabotage yourself.
He has in the past.
The day before the show. And somehow, for once in his life, he listened to me.
Yeah, well, you only had to do it once, and it's remained with him, the standout trophy.
Hey, don't say it. I'll say I always listen. I really do trust the old schooler.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
And I know you're one of those guys that are very, very supportive, and sometimes you're a little bit obnoxious with me, but in a not in a derogatory way.
Yeah.
Because you wanted me to do good, and I knew that.
Well, it was a totally
So like a buck.
it was a totally different time, and there was, you know, I doubt if anybody had that kind of relationship with the championships of today, and it was really, you know, we all flew on the same plane, we all stayed at the same hotel, we all ate at the same places, and we were essentially friends. So, you know, you didn't want your friend to make a mistake because he's so emotionally wound up. So that was the reason why I said what I did, and of course he came into the best shape of his life. Not because of me, but I saved him from himself.
Yeah, and a lot of bodybuilders need that
And
kind
John,
of help.
let me just thank you one more time.
Not necessary.
About 100 years later.
You can thank me by winning.
I really appreciate everything you've done for me. Probably you taking more photo of me, probably a little bit more, or about the same with Artie. Most of my photographs were taken in Santa Monica. And John's, we have this most awesome studio, and he really did it A1, A+. I mean, the guy was incredible.
MrYorkieLoverFitness.com